Today, we're cracking open the autobiography of Reverend Sun Myung Moon to get into one of the most incredible stories he tells, his marriage to Hak Ja Han. And listen, this is way more than just a love story. It's really presented as a union with this huge historical and spiritual purpose. Right from the get-go, Moon made it crystal clear that this bond was different. This one sentence, which he said during their wedding, totally sets the stage for a life that wasn't about personal happiness, but about a mission he was convinced was ordained by God. So let's get into it. Okay, so the story doesn't kick off with a romance. Instead, it starts with what Moon describes as this moment of almost divine revelation. Their first time meeting was super brief, but he talks about it like it was the exact moment he recognized his future partner. So try to picture this scene, right? The year is 1954. He's 40 years old, the leader of this growing church, and she's just 14. A quiet girl who, according to the book, never tried to draw attention to herself. She's just introduced as the daughter of one of his followers. He asks her name, and when she says Hak Ja Han, he says these words just came out of him, spontaneously. It wasn't a question, it was like a declaration. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. According to his account, he didn't just say this once. He repeated the exact same phrase a second time. And then a third time. Her mom later said she found it pretty strange, understandably. But for the young Hak Ja Han, she apparently felt these words were a profound revelation about her own future, a message she would hold on to for years to come. So, years go by between that first meeting and their second. And during this whole time, Moon describes a series of what he saw as signs and prophecies. And they were all pointing towards his eventual bride. He's 40 years old now, and he's feeling like it's time to get married. But he's waiting for a very clear sign from God. But while he's waiting, other people in his church start receiving their own spiritual signs about who his wife was going to be. And these signs were coming from all over. From people who weren't connected. You've got an elderly woman who, just on faith, starts preparing his engagement ceremony way back in 1959, and there's no bride picked out yet. Then another member has a dream that Hak Ja Han is his wife. And then comes the most vivid sign of all, a dream filled with hundreds of cranes. And the whole crane dream, its significance just clicks into place when you look at her name. The character Hak is literally the Chinese character for crane. So for Moon and his followers, this wasn't some coincidence. It was, for them, direct spiritual confirmation. And the final piece of the puzzle, at least as Moon tells it, came to Hak Ja Han herself. She had a dream where he appeared to her and said these exact words, basically telling her to get ready for what was coming. So, prompted by this whole cascade of dreams and signs, Moon sets up a second meeting. And this is the one that would set everything in motion, leading to their marriage just a few short weeks later. He asks her mother to bring her to him. And during this meeting, he apparently asks her a ton of questions and is, in his own words, really impressed by her composure and how clear her answers were. For him, this was the moment of decision. And yeah, that decision led to a wedding, but one that Moon defined right from the beginning as being totally different from any other. It was, as he put it, the start of a path no one in history had ever walked before. And this timeline, wow, it really shows you just how fast all of this happened. Their second meeting is in March of 1960. The official engagement just weeks later, March 27th. The wedding itself is on April 11th. And the very next day, that difficult path he kept talking about, it begins. To really get this union, you have to understand the huge distinction Moon was making. He wasn't talking about a typical marriage, one focused on the couple's own happiness. No, he was proposing a shared, all-in mission to complete God's work, to become what he called true parents for all of humanity, and to knowingly walk a really difficult road for the sake of other people. This right here was the heart of his vows to his 17-year-old bride. He straight up warned her that for the next 7 years, she was going to face huge trials, and he told her to obey everything he said without question. And her response, as it's reported, was just simple, direct, and total acceptance. With these words, she's basically confirming she's on board with the mission he laid out, no matter how tough it might be. And that difficult path, that wasn't some idea for the future. It started immediately, like the very next day. It began with a period of really intense spiritual discipline and separation that he required from his new wife. For three full years, she was asked to live a life of asceticism. This was not a short little trial. It was a long, foundational period that was designed to get her ready for her public role. And the rules he set out were incredibly strict. First, she had to be completely separated from her family, even her mom, who she was really close to. Second, she had to live all by herself in a rented room. And third, her movements were totally restricted. She could only go to the church once a day in the evening, and she had to use the back door. So why? What was the point of all this? Well, according to Moon, the whole purpose was to establish a spiritual condition. It was a trial by separation, really, meant to forge this unconditional devotion to their shared mission, all while rumors and public criticism were swirling around them. And that really brings us to our final question here. This whole account details a union that's explicitly founded not on personal affection or happiness, but on a shared, difficult, sacrificial mission. It kind of leaves us to think about, what is the nature of commitment, of faith, and what does it even mean to build a life with someone when the foundation isn't romance, but a shared, difficult mission?